the one rule, the only one that ever truly mattered to a witcher. And Geralt of Rivia almost never managed to follow it. A witcher is supposed to have no side. You take the coin, you kill the monster, you leave. You don't care who sits on the throne. You don't care which army burns which village. A witcher walks past all of it because he was built to, but not him. Geralt cared, and almost every time it mattered, he broke the rule that was supposed to define him. To understand Geralt, you have to understand the rule he kept breaking. So that's where we'll start. Not his swords, not his mutations, not the white hair, his refusal. We're going to look at the rule every witcher lives by, the rule of neutrality. And we're going to watch Geralt break it again and again and again, until you have to ask the question that follows him through every story he's in. Was he a broken witcher, or the only one who ever got it right? Let's start with the rule itself, because Geralt breaking it only matters once you know why the rule exists in the first place. It isn't tradition. It isn't superstition. It is the one thing that keeps a witcher alive. A witcher who picks a side becomes a tool of that side, a blade in someone else's war. And the moment that happens, he stops being a witcher and starts being a weapon with an owner. So the rule is simple. Stay out of it. The peasant and the lord pay the same coin. The monster in the swamp doesn't care who's king. So neither does the witcher. He does the work. And he leaves before the politics can touch him. Most witchers hold to this. It keeps them alive. It keeps them useful. It keeps them out of the graves that men dig for each other. Geralt knew the rule better than anyone. He'd say it himself in his own flat way. Witchers don't get involved. And then, almost every time it mattered, he got involved. And here is where it gets interesting. Because Geralt didn't break the rule by accident. He broke it on purpose, quietly, almost every time. A witcher is supposed to look at two evils and walk away from both. Geralt looked at two evils and kept trying to find the one that hurt fewer people. He was handed a world of grey, of lords who were monsters and monsters who were victims, of villages that begged for his help and cursed him the moment it was done. A perfect witcher would have shrugged, taken the coin, walked the road. Geralt couldn't. Something in him, something they tried to burn out on that table and never fully did, kept making him stop, kept making him ask who actually deserved to be saved. He spared monsters that were only trying to live. He killed men who wore the face of nobility. He stepped into other people's wars, not for a kingdom, but for a single person standing in front of him. And every time he did it, he broke the rule that was supposed to define him. That is the contradiction the whole continent sensed, even if they couldn't name it. The one who wasn't supposed to care was the one who couldn't stop. You might think caring made Geralt better, kinder, more human, and maybe it did. But it also made him something the witchers feared, because a witcher who chooses is a witcher who can be wrong. When you take no side, you carry no blame. The monster is dead, the coin is paid. Whatever happens after is not on you. But the moment Geralt started choosing who lived, he started carrying the weight of every choice. The man he spared who killed again. The creature he killed that didn't deserve it, the side he picked, that turned out to be the worse one. A neutral witcher sleeps easy. Geralt did not. He took the one thing the mutations were supposed to protect him from, and carried it anyway. Guilt, the most human burden there is, and he chose to carry it. Over and over, because the alternative, walking away every time, forever, was a thing he turned out to be incapable of. They built a man who wasn't supposed to feel the weight of a choice, and he spent his whole life choosing. If this is the version of Geralt you came for, the one underneath the monster slayer, the man who chose to carry what he was built to ignore, then you're in the right place. This is where the legends are told with the weight they deserve. Subscribe and walk the path with us. And then there's something else. Hidden in his name, Geralt of Rivia. But Geralt was not born in Rivia. He has no homeland, no place that is his. A witcher is taken as a child, and everything he came from is left behind. The mother who gave him up, the name he was born with, the place that should have been home. All of it erased long before he could choose otherwise. So Geralt did something strange. He invented one. He added of Rivia to his own name, practiced the accent, the story, so that when men asked where he was from, he would have an answer. A witcher is supposed to belong nowhere, but Geralt gave himself somewhere to be from. 2 words. Of Rivia. That's all it was, but it tells you everything. The man who was built to need no one, to come from nowhere, to want nothing, quietly gave himself a home that didn't exist. Because some part of him refused to accept the thing they made him. The white wolf was supposed to be empty, but quietly, all his life, he kept filling himself back in. They built Geralt of Rivia to be one thing. He spent his life becoming the opposite. They built him to be neutral, and he chose a side almost every time. They built him to feel less, and he carried more guilt than any man should. They built him to come from nowhere, and he gave himself a home with his own mouth. Everything they tried to make him, he quietly, stubbornly, refused to fully become. That is the white wolf. Not the perfect witcher, the one who never quite finished being made. I will leave you with a question that follows Geralt everywhere. A witcher who takes no side, keeps his hands clean, he hurts no one he didn't have to. Geralt refused that. He chose, he interfered, he got people killed by trying to save others. So, where do you stand? Was Geralt a failed witcher? A man who let his feelings make a mess of the one clean thing a witcher is supposed to be? Or was he the only witcher who ever understood that staying neutral in a world like that is just cowardice with a code? So far, Geralt has only ever chosen strangers, people he could walk away from, people he'd never see again. But the world was about to hand him something he could not walk away from. Not a contract, not a stranger. A child, owed to him by a law older than the witches themselves. The man who was built to belong to no one was about to belong to someone, and that is the next part of the story.